So you want to get rich and you think that reading books is going to teach you everything that you need to know about money. The average book takes between 6 and 8 hours to read, and in every book you'll only actually get real tangible value from 20% of the ideas shared in it. This means that when you're reading, you're actively wasting 80% of your time. To be fair, most books could be condensed in just a few short paragraphs, and you would still get the bulk of the author's message. That's why in this video I'm going to share with you 8 key lessons that I learned by reading business and finance books, so you don't need to waste countless hours reading so many books. You can skip the boring part and you can go straight to applying these 9 lessons in your business, and I bet that by the end of the month, if you do things correctly, you'll be making more money than you are right now. The first lesson I want to share with you is that 99% of jobs, they will keep you poor. The only real way to quickly build significant wealth is to start your own business. That said, not every business opportunity is equal. If you wanted to launch your own gym clothing brand, you would need to compete with massive brands like Gymshark, Adidas, Nike, Alphalete, and many more. Also, you would need to spend $5,000 up to $100,000 just to start that business. Now, what if you wanted to open up a restaurant? Wouldn't that be a better business model? If it's your childhood dream, then go ahead, I'm not stopping you. However, if your only motivation is financial gain, then I would advise you to stay the hell away from it. With everything that happened recently in the world, with the recent lockdowns for instance, brick-and-mortar businesses had to face severe and sudden difficulties that they didn't have to face before. A lot of business owners all over the world had to declare bankruptcy. Only the businesses that moved online, that adapted essentially, were able to keep growing their revenue and their profits. You see, starting your own online business is the quickest and the most efficient way to get rich. It's not to become a lawyer or to have multiple restaurants. And it's not easy because, let's be honest, you have to realize that you are trying to accomplish something massive. But it's definitely doable if you are willing to do what it takes. Preferably, you want to start a service-based business as opposed to a physical product-based business. If you sell physical products, let's say that you're dropshipping, your margins are going to be razor thin. The competition is ruthless and the market is completely saturated. People don't want to buy cheap stuff that you can find on AliExpress for 5 times the price anymore. You'll also have to worry about shipping, manufacturing, out-of-stock items, and much more. Now, I can't really go too in-depth in this video because it's gonna take too long, but if you want to start your own online business, I recorded a free video in which I analyze every popular online business model to figure out which one is the best for beginners. The link is in the description if you're interested. Lesson number 2. Business is all about people. Whether you're providing a service to an actual business or selling products directly to everyday consumers, either way, you're selling something to someone, you're dealing with people. Businesses are not these faceless entities that run on their own. There's a lot of people behind each business. Now, I know that this might scare some people at first, because you might think that in order to succeed, you need to be an extrovert, or you need to be this super confident and outgoing person. You need to be born like that. But let me tell you, none of that is actually true in practice. I know it sounds good in theory, but that's not the case. I'm an introvert myself, and over the years, I've managed to build pretty decent social skills. Now, I wouldn't necessarily advise you to go up to strangers in the street and to try to strike up a conversation with them just so that you can improve your social skills, but you should definitely try to speak to people whenever the opportunity presents itself. For instance, the gym is probably the most convenient place to start a conversation with a stranger. You could just say hi to somebody, for instance, and 99% of the time, they will say it back. This brings me to lesson 3. You need to delegate and to hire the right people. If you're the only one working on your business, you will never reach the levels that you could if you had a highly dedicated, highly loyal and driven team working with you every day relentlessly. Now, you have to be careful, because surrounding yourself with the wrong people, it's going to sink your company. You know how the saying goes, hire slow, fire fast. You need to develop a strong brand and a strong company culture. People need to be united, to have a common goal to reach. They need to feel like they're part of something greater than themselves. It's one thing to incentivize people by giving them financial rewards like bonuses or increases in salary, but at some point, the money is not enough. Like I said, one of the most powerful ways to incentivize people is to get them to work for a common mission, for a common goal. Most people want to feel useful, so giving them a mission will give their life more meaning. And it's been shown time and time again that people who feel like they're useful at work, they produce higher quality work. Also, you need to realize that in order to scale, you're going to need a team. Running a business is a very complicated endeavor, and let's be real for a second here. It doesn't matter if you are the hardest working person on planet Earth, because you cannot do everything yourself. You cannot work non-stop 24/7. And sure, you can go pretty far alone, but you will go so much further with the right people by your side. And past a certain point, if you want to scale your operations, you will need people anyway. This brings me to lesson number 4. You need to choose a business model that allows you to scale rapidly. And for those who don't know, scaling a business simply means growing its revenue and its profits. But the thing that you really need to understand is that not every business is going to scale at the same speed or in the same manner. Some businesses are much easier to scale than others. To give you an example, if you wanted to scale up a restaurant, well, your only real option would be to open up multiple restaurants in different locations. At some some point when every table is full, well, what else can you do but open up a few restaurants in other locations? There isn't much that you can do to welcome new customers other than that. Now, if we take the example of an online business, scaling is much faster, but it is also much easier. Why? Because everything is done through the internet, so your ability to welcome new customers, it is usually much higher than that of a traditional brick-and-mortar business. And it won't necessarily cost you that much more to handle that flow of new customers. That's the beauty of online business. Whereas with a restaurant, like I said, you would need to open up multiple new restaurants in different locations. You would need to pay for taxes, for rent, for stuff, for food, for drinks, for lots of stuff. Again, if you're interested in starting an online business, the link to the free video is in the description below. Lesson number 5. Pay yourself first as much as you can. Now, it depends on the legal structure that you choose, but in most countries, the government declares that your business, it is separate from you as an individual, meaning your business will have to pay corporate tax on the profit that it generates, but then you as a person, you will need to pay your own income tax. So if you want to use your business money to buy things, like even just to pay rent, you cannot directly do that. You would need to either give yourself a salary or to receive dividends from your company, and then you can spend that money as you please. Either way, you're gonna have to pay taxes again on an individual level. Choosing to receive dividends from your company is usually the best alternative, because most of the time, if you choose to pay yourself a salary, you will have to pay a lot more taxes than if you opt for dividends instead. So what does it actually mean to pay yourself first? It means that as much as you can, you should business expense the things that you buy. If you buy a new computer, for instance, and you know that you're going to use it for work, try to see with your accountant if you can deduct it from your corporate tax. Anything that serves a business purpose can usually be deducted from your imposable profit, sometimes completely and sometimes only partially. Moving on to lesson number 6, solving problems is going to make you rich. If someone asked me, what's the key to getting rich? Without hesitation, I would say solving people's problems. You need to understand that people usually have a hard time parting with their money. They worked so hard to earn it, they don't want to waste it on something that will not bring them value. So you need to give them a solid reason as to why they should pay you instead of somebody else. When there are so many other options available on the market, your prospects need to understand why you are their best option. So if you can't communicate that offer, that value clearly, then they will go for a competitor instead. Now, the more painful a problem is for someone, the more money they will be willing to pay in order to solve it. To give you an example, the typical cost for a brain surgery can range anywhere from $50,000 all the way up to $150,000. Now, do you really think that most people would be willing to spend that much money in order to lose 20 pounds of body fat? Of course not. That's why you need to make sure that your product or your service, it actually solves a real problem that people are willing to pay money for, and that you charge a fair price. Otherwise, no one is going to buy what you have to offer. Moving on to lesson number 7. Yes, it sucks, but you have to be patient. The success equation goes as follows: hard work plus vehicle plus timing. The thing that's hard to swallow, but that you need to accept anyway, is that in life, you could be doing everything right and yet still lose. That's the harsh and tragic reality of life. You could be driving perfectly safely on the road, yet a drunk driver is going to hit you full speed, and there is nothing that you can do to avoid that tragic fate. Now, this isn't to say that if things are not going your way, then you should throw your hands in the air and just quit. And the crazy thing that many people do, myself included to be honest, is to look at somebody and they have been doing what they're doing for 10 years and to think, oh, why am I not at that level just yet? If you're like me, if it's not in your nature to be patient, I highly recommend, if you're not doing it already, to start exercising regularly. Going to the gym and doing my best to build a strong physique has taught me the importance of patience like nothing else. Because you can be doing everything right, but building muscle takes time, and at some point, there isn't much that you can do to speed up the process. You won't wake up the next day with 20 more pounds of muscle on your frame. Everything that is worth achieving in life, it takes time, and we need to accept that. So right now, if you're wondering if you're doing something wrong because you're not seeing results immediately, understand that it's probably just a matter of time. You never know how close you are to making it, so don't ever give up. Your future self would thank you for it, believe me. Lesson number 8. Attention is the new currency. You know, you could be great at what you do, or you could solve a painful problem for people, but if nobody knows you exist, then you will not make any sales. Marketing is an art. It's the art of grabbing people's attention so that you can convert them into paying customers. Nowadays, with social media, and especially with the rise of short-form content on TikTok and even on YouTube, people's attention span is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm telling you, unless there's a lot of editing and things going on everywhere all the time, people cannot stick around for a 10-minute video. So starting today, you need to ask yourself, what are some ways that I could generate more attention for my business? Lesson number 9. Keep everything lean and mean. A lot of businesses, especially big corporations, they've got a lot of unnecessary monthly expenses that don't even affect their ability to create more revenue or to help their customers better. And the worst part about it is that usually they're completely unaware of that situation. That is until an external consultant points it out. You need to know that in business, if you don't need to spend money on something, then you shouldn't. If that thing that you want to buy, if it doesn't help you to make more money or to help your customers have a better experience or get better results, then you probably shouldn't buy it, or you probably shouldn't invest into it. And this is going to be especially true for new businesses and for beginners. If you're just starting out, or if you're running a one-man show, meaning you don't have any employees, you do all of the work by yourself, then you don't want to waste your budget on things that don't move the needle forward in your business. Now, if you apply these 9 key lessons, I bet that your business will triple by the end of the year. And if you want to discover what's the best online business to start, the link is in the description. And with that said, I am waiting for you on the other side.